Doing it. Oh, we're doing it, and we're doing it now.
All right, so it says that we're live now. Let's see if we're in fact live. Who made the Liberty Bell in our family? The one at the stadium. Come on, Trey.
The Liberty Bell, wasn't that Abraham Lincoln? He made
Abraham
the Liberty Bell.
Lincoln.
Him and John Edward Taft came down on the Mayflower. That's live. That's out there.
Grandfather did it. So at the Philly Stadium, the old Philly Stadium, the Vet Stadium, in the 80s, they put up that Liberty Bell up on top of Vet Stadium. My dad he worked for the company, but the company that he worked for a sign company. They were the ones that put the Liberty Bell up on top of Vet Stadium.
Okay.
And he was pretty cool. He was actually one of the guys who even went up and was up there like bolting it down. Like he was all the way up on top doing it.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah. And then when they tore down the Vet, they removed the Liberty Bell. Somebody bought it. It went into storage somewhere. Then it went somewhere else. Some guy years ago went on this like trip to try and find it. He found it. It was in some storage at one of the food facilities right down the street from the stadium. Like that company bought it or whatever. And now maybe a couple years ago, I think it was right before or right after, maybe right before COVID, the Phillies bought it back, and now it's at the corner of Pattison and whatever. They have like a nice like little garden there with the giant Liberty Bell right behind it, right on the street level, so you can go walk up to it and take your picture in front of it. So it's now back.
Okay.
And it's just cool that my dad was the one that put it up there. So it was pretty neat. So Trey's there.
Is he out there?
He's there with his fraternity, and he just texted, "Who made the Liberty Bell in our family? The one at the stadium."
Clarifying.
I'm like, your grandfather put that one up there.
So for some reason, my video went out on the feed. I'm gonna try and.
Oh, yep, you're going.
Figure that out.
You need to get your computer back, dude, because those really plugs on that one honestly. Are very, very finicky over there.
It's really frustrating.
Very frustrating. Did we check the YouTubes?
I have
now
not
it's just a full
YouTubed
version
yet.
of me.
Yeah, I left, and I am coming back. For that is what I'm doing. Join room with camera. No audio, you big dummy. No audio at all.
No audio. Still just me. I'm here all by myself, people.
I'm here for you. I returned. We got to start this thing so I can start drinking. That is what I'm doing. Ooh, dulcet tones.
That's funny. So I'm playing it through my iPad. So now it's coming back through. So I'm sure if anybody's watching this, it's like going to be double audio of us. So we can have a whole conversation with ourselves. We
Let's
just have
try
to ask a question now and then 30 seconds from now answer it. Or answer it now. Say, yes, peanut butter and jelly is delicious.
I don't think you should be doing that with your toast right now, though.
Now it's coming back through. So I'm sure if anybody's watching. And then we have to now wait like 45 seconds for it to come through. And then, whatever. It's too complicated.
The bit is a good one. It's just going to take too long.
It's going to take too long to accomplish.
And I think our listener base might feel a bit overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed. All right. Okay, so Streamlabs is working. Feel free to hop in the chat, folks.
Hop in the chat.
Hop in that
Like, comment,
chat.
subscribe.
Yes.
Share with your friends.
Click down below.
Share with people who you aren't friends with. Especially them.
Comment on ears up because they never talk about us. So
yeah, ears up with your ears up.
up.
Wait, we have to like say the thing and do the thing first.
Say that I know. I'm
like
bringing up Audacity.
This is the pre-show.
You're seeing the pre-show here. Recording device line 3. Check it. Here we go. Hello. All right, good.
Hello.
That's working. Hello. Say it one more time.
Hello. Oh, that
was
a little
loud.
hot.
Yeah, you peeked that one out there.
I sure did.
Hot mic. All right, here we go.
Hot lava.
You ready?
Yeah, man.
Oh, where's Bantha Milk theme? This one? I think this is the new one. Is this the new one? Is this the new one? Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know if that was the new one or the old
one.
Where
is the old one still in there?
It is. It's still
Delete
here.
it right now.
No.
Like, take the time.
It's more fun
now.
to every time to go,
to take this
is
time.
this the right one? Yeah.
Oh, boy.
See, you're really seeing how it's made.
On this week's episode,
we'd click on different links. Okay, here we go. On this week's episode of Bantha Milk Podcast, we find the 5 most obscure Jedi, but it might be 10 because there's 2 of us.
Also, we're still here.
We're still here. Intro music.
Feels no good to be dead. Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
I love the echo at the end there.
Yeah, it was a pretty clutch addition by
That
the
was
creator of that.
Yes.
I think that person deserves all the accolades they always get.
Intro music.
That's loud.
That's not it.
Oh, that's OG right there.
This is the old one.
It almost feels weird.
It's slow motion.
Yeah.
Welcome to smooth jazz.
Yeah, no, the new one's way better.
Yeah, I like the
Like,
new
you know
one.
how they say, like, you know, the sequel's never as good as the original? That is completely
That sequel
the
was
reverse here.
definitely much better.
We got a
than the
Wayne's
original.
World 2 situation happening right here.
Yes.
Because Wayne's World 2 is far better.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say better. It's at least as good, if not a little better. The half-naked Indian really kind of brings it home.
Brings it all home.
And also, you know.
Wayne's World party time.
Love me
Excellent.
some Wayne's World. Anyway, it's Bantha Milk
Anywho,
Podcast.
it is Bantha Milk Podcast.
That's what they call us. And we're going to start talking about things so that I can open this beer.
Yes,
but we're
open
back.
that
We
beer.
exist. We still are here. Rob's beard is still here, which I'm, again, so very thankful for. It's been how long now?
It's been since November.
Yeah, we're coming up on 3/4 of a year here.
And we are.
You're
And
going to have a yeared.
I'm getting a little tired.
You got to
of it.
make the yeared.
I gotta make
It's
the whole
summer's
year.
coming, and I know you're going to cave.
Yeah, I will. Once my chin comes back because of losing a couple of pounds, then that's when it goes away. Because
Dude, that's the greatest thing about a beard.
I
is
know.
that you can have it just
Especially-
to hide some stuff.
especially since that's why I grew this out longer,
See,
so
this
it really
is,
hides it.
This
yeah,
is good. I just don't think I have the wherewithal to grow all that much here.
I understand.
Because you got this stuff too.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't grow anything here. This isn't by choice. I don't shave this. This
It
is
just doesn't grow there?
Nothing grows there.
That's funny.
Anyway, this is great for our people who are listening at
It
home.
sure is because it's funny. It's a lot of our middle school kids now have started like listening or watching YouTube.
Have they
clips or
really? How
stuff.
come
Yeah.
they're not like sharing us and stuff?
I don't know. That I don't know. But they're like, yeah, I tried to listen, but you spent the first 30 minutes talking about your beard, and I was like,
All right. Well,
and?
have you never listened to a podcast, kids?
Kids, no, it's all
Like-
TikTok. They got 30 seconds of interest.
Well,
That's it.
well, listen. Welcome to the big leagues.
Welcome
kiddos.
to the big league.
Anyway, I already popped this, and I didn't even get the luxury of a nice microphone sound, unfortunately.
No, you popped it from far away.
We are Bantha Milk Podcast, and I am about to drink some Hell or High pomegranate.
Pomegranates.
From Old Standard here at Bantha Milk Podcast, 21st
the
Amendment
2-1A
Brewery.
in San Francisco, right across the street from where baseball is played and seen. That's what Jason always says on that other show that he never plugs our show or listens to our show, but we're not bitter. That would be ears up, by the way.
I'm going to go knock on their door right now.
You do that
I'm
because
going to go right around back.
they at least gave us an air conditioner for the trailer.
It is nice and cool.
It is
here,
nice and
I
cool
will
in
say.
here, yes.
But
Well,
Rob, what do you got
while you
over
drink
there?
that, I'm drinking Nom Nom apple cider donut style ale.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued
Yes,
by that.
by Evil Genius, which is in New Jersey
Sure,
brewery.
yeah.
All right, let's see if I can.
Pop that.
There's
That was
a pop.
Yeah, not much fizz, but a good pop.
Nope. Let's see here.
Once you pop, the fun don't stop. That's what the Pringles man told
That's
me.
what they say. It's
Oh,
nice.
you were pouring that straight in. You're going to get so much head on that bad boy.
Yeah.
That's going to be like
It's gonna be
5/6 head.
trying to smell it. It smells pretty good. Let's see.
Yeah.
I gotta give me.
I saw you put your nose in there. That's a good technique for smelling. You know,
Yes.
generally speaking, nostrils should be involved.
They should be.
I think so.
Yes. So let's see here now.
So for those who are listening and not watching, Rob is now taking a sip of the beer.
That's for the ASMR fans out there.
Oh my gosh.
My least favorite thing, by the way.
Oh boy, crinkle. Anyway, how is
So it's
it? That's a start.
no, it's good.
He said and looked up and to the right.
Because it's an apple cider donut style
It's supposed
ale.
to be very autumn.
Yeah.
feeling.
So
So it's a bit out of season.
It is a bit out of season. It's kind of like if you were an apple, like a what's the Angry Orchards?
like a hard cider.
Hard cider, but it's an ale, so it doesn't have that cidery like bubbliness to it, I
Okay.
guess.
So it's not like as crisp and
Yeah. No, it could also be. It could be like a little out of season, so could have lost a little bit of carbonation in the can.
Yeah, but probably not. I mean, I think maybe that's probably the difference between like the hard
Yeah.
cider versus like a apple beer.
Yeah.
I think
So-
the hard ciders generally feel like they have a higher carbonation content. you
Right. Right. Yeah. So it definitely tastes like a beer, but you have a little bit of that hard cider feel to it.
know? All right.
So I like it.
Best
I
of
like
both
it a lot.
worlds.
Yeah, it's the best. Yeah, it's very
I
good.
do feel like sometimes with hard ciders, it's too much of the sweet and the,
yeah,
and the
sometimes
apple.
it's very sweet, very appley. Yeah.
So that maybe I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
What nom?
Nom nom.
nom.
2 noms.
Nom, nom,
Nom
nom.
nom. Yeah. So there's some left in the can if you want to try it.
I might just
Grab some here. Yeah.
What? Yeah. All right. Let's. Oh, that does smell nice. It does. It's not an overwhelming
No.
appley smell.
No.
All right. Here we go.
Nom 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 nom.
Oh, I do like that.
Yeah.
You're right. It's like the best of both worlds. It definitely does not have that like crisp, bubbly feeling of like a hard cider.
Of a hard cider. But it
I think
definitely
I could use I mean, maybe it's because I'm also I didn't like cleanse my palate after this pomegranate. I didn't get a big apple taste.
No.
Really, it was very subtle. So
very
it's not,
subtle. Yeah.
Again, it's not like a hard cider where it's supposed to be like.
Like
This
apple
is apple.
juice. Yeah, this is apple
This
with
has
a kick.
You know, it's like when you read a beer and it says like you'll get hints of cinnamon and and lavender and like all these things. I'm like, I don't know, caramel. I don't taste caramel in this at all. But okay.
Yeah, like the very fine-tuned taste and, and all that stuff. Like I listen to a bunch of beer podcasts, and they're always talking about, oh, I can taste this and that and blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, I don't taste any of that.
Yeah, no, I never do. I like every now and then I'll like sniff a little bit and I'll go, oh, that kind of smelled like. Nope, I lost it.
No, now I
That's it.
lost it.
Anyway, so that's our drinks.
Yes.
But we are here to remind you that we are still alive. Now that The Mandalorian has ceased to be for season 3. I got to tell you, I got a text from my dad the other day. My dad is just now catching up on The Mandalorian. He always kind of like once it's done,
then he'll like binge it.
Like call me and be like, hey, what's your Disney Plus login? And that's how I know he's ready to watch it.
What's your Disney Plus login?
And of course I every time it's the same login. I
same
haven't changed
thing.
it, but I sent it to him.
Yaddle 123.
Yes, exactly. Duh. How do you know? It's amazing. It's the same combination I have in my luggage. So I got a text from him, and I knew he had started because I got what must be a very common text based off of things we have talked about this season, which was like, wait, I don't get it.
Because you didn't watch.
If the Baby
Boba
Yoda
Fett.
is, I thought the Baby Yoda was with Luke. Is this a new Baby Yoda? Are there two Baby
Are
Yodas?
there two Baby Yodas? Where did this Baby Yoda come
And I
from?
was
What's
like-
going on?
I was like, it's a whole long story. We can't do it in text. I'll talk to you another time. And then like, literally like 20 minutes later, he's like, how do Mandalorians eat and drink? And I'm like, just keep watching.
You're like, keep watching.
Yeah. And then like a day later, I get a text. I now know how Mandalorians eat and drink.
You're like, way to binge it, Dad.
Yep.
Good job.
But so we have all of our shows outlined for you, and our next big target is Ahsoka coming up.
Yes.
But in the interim, we've got plans, and for today, at the very least, we've got some Jedi we want to talk about, and
Right.
also I've been reading. Well, I makes me sound way more intellectual than I am. I've been listening to some audiobooks.
I've been reading.
I'm very proud of
actually
you.
reading. It takes me forever.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure
why
you
I
can
don't
listen
do
to
it.
the audiobooks a lot faster than my actual reading. Question: I was going to ask you this because I started to do it while I was reading the book that I'm reading. I'm reading the book that my son got me for Christmas. I started reading it a little bit after Christmas, and I put it down. But now I'm like, okay, it's summertime. This is when I do all my reading.
Mm-hmm. What is it?
It's the 3 bounty hunter books. It's
Okay.
all bound into one giant book.
Is it like canon or legends?
It is so Legends.
Legends,
It's
not
Legends.
Disney.
Yeah, not Disney.
Pre-Disney, PD,
Pre-Disney. PD. It's
Yeah.
definitely PD.
or PM, P Mouse.
Yes. But it's fun. It would actually, in the first book, it starts off with Boba Fett escaping the Sarlacc pit.
Okay.
Yeah. And the whole first book is it's two parts. Well, like A story, B story. The A story is him recovering, and at the very end of the book, he's like healed up and he goes off whatever. The B story is like a flashback.
So we're saying back to tank. Back
to tank shots. Yes, except there's no back to tank in this. He's just
the back
healing.
is implied.
Right, of course. So you just have to assume it's there.
Yeah. It must be where they got their influence.
Yeah. So it's definitely fun. But I was reading it, and then I started reading, in when they put things in quotes, I started reading it in their rhythm and in their like Darth Sidious or Senator Palpatine being like, "Oh, you will never survive," and I was like,
Your
but then
brain started making it happen.
Right, but then I'm like reading it slower because I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh my god, if I keep doing this for the entire book, it's going to take me way too long. So when you have people read it to you, like you have these trained professionals reading it to you, do they ever do that, or are they just like straight up?
So the great thing about just about every Star Wars audio, have you ever checked out any Star Wars audiobook? So like
you could have eliminated the word Star Wars in that sentence. I've never done an audiobook.
So audiobooks are my jam. I love audiobooks. That's how I consume most of my books. And like your typical audiobook is pretty straightforward. It's like a dude reading. Like all the Game of Thrones books, it's a dude reading. I mean, the guy for the Game of Thrones, he did do voices, and he actually won. He was like in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most voices. Individual distinct voices in a single audiobook. Like the Game of Thrones, he like they do that. But it's it is at the end of the day a dude reading a story, but he does voices. But all of the Star Wars audiobooks I've ever listened to, not only does the reader do that, but also like there's music in the background by John Williams.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's like the sound of blaster fire when there's a fight. There's the sound of a lightsaber turning on and stuff like that. So like they're very theatrical about it, almost like a radio drama sort of thing.
Okay, sure, yeah.
And so like the ones that I've been reading, that's kind of what I love, and that's what I guess we'll just go ahead and jump right into the discussion
jump right into
here.
that there, yeah.
Right? So I've been reading the Thrawn books, right? And you've got all the Thrawn books right behind you, both the pre-Disney and post-Disney.
Yes.
So I finished the pre-Disney books, the first one, and I recommend them to everyone.
Yes, and I as well. I read them last year.
I'm way late on the game. Like I know I was talking to Brian Bacon. He read those books growing up. Like these were around in the 90s. But it's Heir to the Empire is the first book that introduces Thrawn, and it was like in 1991, I want to say.
I'm looking to try and find the copyright date as you speak.
And then Dark Force Rising is the second book, and then The Last Command is the third book. And so, so first of all, awesome books, really interesting dive into this, which was a brand new character at the time, Thrawn.
Copyright 1991 by Lucasfilm Ltd.
Nailed it. And so, like, I'm really unsure as to how we got into this and what the point of my discussion was, but we're here talking about the book.
Well, it started because I asked you if they read it.
Yes, if they read it. Yeah, that's right. So again, it was written by this trilogy of books was written by Timothy Zahn.
Timothy Zahn,
and that's
Timothy Zahn. Anytime you want to come on the show, we'd be more than happy to have you.
Yeah, I mean, you should just start bombing his Instagram.
Well, I emailed him and asked him, and he said no.
How many times?
Just once.
Wait, did he really say no, or did he just not respond?
He said I'm very busy.
I'm sure.
So he actually responded.
That's nice of him.
He said he's very busy. I did email a couple other people. Just since you brought it up, I'm going to cut you off real fast.
Do it.
This guy that we work with kind of looks like this other guy.
I like where this is going so far.
So our the new band teacher at the middle school looks very similar to Ed Sheeran.
Oh boy. He just loves that.
He does. He loves it. So I sent Ed Sheeran a Instagram message, and he hasn't even read it or anything. I said, I'm a teacher at Cinnaminson Middle School in Cinnaminson, New Jersey. You can find me now. Our music teacher looks like you. If you're ever in New Jersey and want to play a trick on the kids, you could come in and pretend to either be him or his brother. I think it would be very funny.
Did you send him a picture of him?
I did. Of him playing drums. At the musical. No.
And that would be amazing.
I said, I think it would be very funny. I know you will never see this, but I had to try. Thank you for your time. And he never responded to that.
Well, he's having his people contact your people.
Yeah, that's what's happening. Works. Yeah.
That's great.
And then I did.
He doesn't listen to this.
I know. Well, yeah, like he listens to this podcast. And then I also emailed one other person because.
Was it Cher?
It was not
tell me
Cher.
you emailed Cher.
But this person was on Jay Leno's Garage, and it said you collect Star Wars figures and own Beach Bar Rum. We have a Star Wars podcast and also have drinks on the show. It will be a perfect match for us to drink your rum and talk about your Star Wars collection. I know you're a super busy guy and probably won't ever see this request. I'd like to,
Sure,
give them a
why
little
not?
guilt at the end of it.
Yeah.
But if you could fit in some time to show off your stuff, we would love to have you on. Thank you very much, and may the force be with you. I sent that to the one and only Rick Springfield.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and assume Mr. Springfield has not yet gotten back.
No,
to you.
he just like Ed Sheeran have not
He's
even like
Has he
looked
left
at
you-
it.
He hasn't even left you on red.
It just doesn't say anything. Like
Wow.
yeah, so
Ghosting you completely.
so the two of them
the
are
nerve.
ghosting.
I'll never in my life again consume a bit more of their music.
I know exactly.
they're dead
That's
to
it. That's it. Done.
Dunzo. Anyway, Timothy Zahn.
Timothy Zahn.
He was the writer of all three of these books, and which is great because I love his writing.
Yes.
It's like I feel like one of the big problems with me getting into some of the Star Wars like expanded universe stuff was it always felt a little kiddie. But his writing is mature. His stories are more mature with it. Obviously it's not like it's, oh, look at that guy cutting all the people's heads off. But like, it's real stuff. There's like death. There's, but also he's just a good writer. So like, he wrote these three books. He did a great job. They're considered some of the better of all of the pre-Disney.
He wrote 3 sets of trilogies.
Yeah,
about
so
Thrawn.
he wrote many Star Wars books.
Right.
I think the one was about Thrawn. Then there was the next one that had like what I think they said was like a reborn Thrawn, or like they were trying to purport as a reborn Thrawn. I haven't read any of those ones.
I didn't get to those yet.
But
and then he has the new series that is
Right.
now Disney-ified,
right, and so that's the one I just started listening
which
to,
is also very good.
and I love it. Again,
Yeah.
If you like, I think you should like go back and read the old ones again, and then read the new ones because it's clear that he like leaves little nuggets in there of like things that are like happen.
So
like he talks about like slave rigged ships that like you have a beckon call. And like you press a button and the slave rigged ship comes to you like because you have the beckon call. Like that was a big thing in the original 3 like Thrawn books. Like that,
Right.
like that was like a big plot point. And like here I am already I'm like not even halfway through the first book, and we've already heard about this beckon call being used. So it's just cool to kind of see how that.
and I read the newest trilogy first. And then I went back and I read the original trilogy.
Okay.
And the original trilogy was more of, there was a lot more Luke and Leia in it.
Right. Yeah, and that's part of why I thought I wasn't gonna dig the new trilogy, because I loved that. I love because I knew the characters, and like
Okay.
that's the big thing that hooked me in when I knew the characters. I was like,
Right.
all right, I know this person. I'm really enjoying this. The beginning of the Thrawn book starts with Alinda Price. Well, it starts with Thrawn, but then it goes to Alinda Price, who I had no idea who it was until like the other day when I looked her up. I went, oh gosh, it's that chick from Rebels.
Yeah.
And so now all of a sudden, whenever she's on, I'm like, oh, okay, I have
Now you have
more vested interest.
And his, who's his right hand? Well,
I like him in the new one. It's Eli Vanto.
was he the one that was in
In the old ones, it was
No.
Pelion.
Pelion? Yeah, because Pelion was in the latest
Episode of The Mandalorian.
Of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, and that was like a big drop because, like, first of all, like, if you looked at him, he looked like the exact thing of what like you might think. How
their description in the
described
book.
him,
Yeah.
this older dude with the mustache and all this, but also, and I saw someone refer to them as like a Jekyll and not Jekyll and Hyde, dummy, Holmes and Watson pairing.
Okay, right, yeah.
Like
Uh-huh.
Pelion is everyone. You're in Pelion's brain, and you're like, this can't possibly work, and Thrawn is Watson or Holmes, Sherlock Holmes, going, yes, it can, you dummy, because
Yeah.
of reasons that you don't see.
That
and I'm
you
not gonna
don't- you
explain
can't-
to you until it all happens.
Right, and I love, when I read the books last summer, I remember telling on our podcast talking about it, and I was even saying then like I was rooting for Thrawn.
Yep.
Like you're like, wait a minute, but he's the ultimate bad guy, but it's written so well that you're like rooting for him.
And like I'm in the new book again. There's 3 of them. I'm only halfway through the first. and I'm already kind of rooting for him. I know where he goes. I know he's the big bad coming up, but like I'm like every time, like because the way they pit, and again, I don't know where this all goes. I've like distinctly avoided spoilers. I mean, obviously I know where everything goes with Thrawn so far, but like I like getting number one, I like getting his vantage versus everyone else's vantage, where like they change the narration style where it's like it's not like a narrator telling you what's going on. It's him noticing all these subtle changes.
Yes.
Like, oh, his facial heat rises slightly. His shoulders relax ever so imperceptibly. And then like I like where his relationship with Vanto's going. I don't know where it's going, but I just like the way like so far where I am in the book, like Vanto like has not wanted to really do this, and like everything is like against his will, but he's like starting to like wonder like, man, like I don't belong here, but like it's so cool when I get to see like these, like I'm a giant, small, tiny thing amongst all these giants, and like from the backwaters, and like he clearly has this respect for him, and like, so yeah, like I said, you've read him, I haven't. I'm really interested to see where that goes. Is Vanto in all of the books or just the first one? Because I know that there's a lot of in the second and third ones. There's a lot of flashback, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the books is about his time with Vader, and then another is about his time with Anakin, right?
Right, and it keeps because that one was really good. Because as you're reading it, you know the reader, you know who Vader and Anakin are, but he kind of does, I think, but maybe like I think Vader doesn't remember him when he was Anakin or something like that. I forget how it goes.
Well, I know in the first book, like, and that was I think one of the big things that like sucked me in. Like, I was a little bored at the. I have a hard time getting into new stories because like I just finished a story that a lot of crap happened, like so much stuff, and now I'm at the beginning where we have to start all this storytelling and world
even
building.
with the trilogies, like the second book starts off slow again, and I'm like, can we get into like the big part of it?
So I'm always like, as I'm just fighting to get through it, but eventually, like the thing that really hooked me in this first Thrawn book is like, holy crap, it's like the third chapter, and all of a sudden there's Palpatine.
Yeah,
you know, and like he's like talking to Palpatine, and like we get a really cool back and forth between them, and I'm like, yeah, I can get behind this.
Yeah, like they write Thrawn to the point that when he's arguing with or when he's talking to Palpatine, he's like arguing with Vader, and he's like the only person. They make Vader out to be like almost like a bumbling idiot compared to Thrawn.
Sure. Well, I thought a little bit in the original trilogy they kind of alluded that too. Yeah. Because like Pelion is always like in his brain when he's like kind of thinking about like whenever like Thrawn got bad news, he was expecting him to blow up. Like, oh, he's going to get so angry. And, of course, in Thrawn fashion, he would, like, go, okay, that's fine. Let's just make it this, that, and the other thing. And all of a sudden we win, right? But, like, in his brain, he'd be talking about, like, oh, that's good because that's not how Vader did things. Yeah. He was legendary for just killing people, and, you know.
And he kept, like, hinting drops to, like, Palpatine, like, you know, he's not as cool. He's a bit of a hothead, you know, where I'm more manipulative and more cunning and thinking ahead and all that stuff. So I read them, like I said, I read them backwards. So the latest three I read first. So I forget how they all go, but I do remember the one. It is fun because he does keep going back and forth. A stories with Anakin, B stories with Vader, and they keep going back and forth.
And that was one of the things I remember about his meeting with Palpatine, that like that was like where he was like, oh, okay, this guy's, because he mentioned Anakin, like he mentioned working with Anakin.
Yeah.
And so that was what I think that was why at the beginning of the book I had a hard time getting into it, because I already came into it with my own like preconceived notion of what the book was.
Okay.
Because I thought I remembered how the story went. I thought I remembered, but like Thrawn knows Anakin, doesn't he? So like he's clearly been around, like, but like he comes into this and clearly the Empire's around and none of them know who he is. So I thought that Thrawn was like some like big muckety muck in the Empire,
right,
beforehand.
But yeah,
so I was confused because that's what my brain was like. This is how it is coming in. And like, how does this? I don't understand. Am I listening to the right book? Did I like mess up the order? But like, I think I just got to shut up and let the story play out.
Yeah, just let the story
and,
play
like,
out
that's-
and let it all come to you and whatever. Yeah.
But again, it's now that it's starting to roll a little bit more, we're getting some more like, I think, interesting characters come in, bigger characters come in. They're talking about Lothal politics, and of course that's a big
Yes.
Thrawn thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, very good stuff. All
Yeah.
Timothy
I
Zahn.
I love Timothy Zahn.
Not to be confused with Steve Zahn.
No, that would be a completely different person.
Who
yes.
was in many movies in the 1990s and early 2000s.
Yeah, don't get those two confused because they're not the same person. But yeah, I really liked all the Thrawn books, and the new trilogy is a lot more Thrawn, where the original trilogy was like an A story Thrawn, B story Luke and Leia.
And then C story Han and Lando.
Right, yeah.
Honestly, like that. And that was one of the big things, too, with, and again, I really liked the books, but like I'd be really invested in, and then it would be like 4 stories at a time, because we'd have Wedge have his own story.
Yeah.
And then Luke would be with Mara Jade, and Lando is with Han, but Leia is at the Coruscant capital.
Right, and then the other, was that the one
and
where...
then Thrawn still with Pelion.
Yeah.
And Jerua Sabayoff is at Wayland. So, like, I would just be real, like, especially towards the end of the books, I'm like, oh, this is great. And then all of a sudden I'd be back in freaking...
Right,
like,
it's in the
Wedge.
other chapter, yeah.
And I'm like, Wedge, I love you, but come on.
And it's funny, at least like reading it, it gets to the end of the chapter, and then you turn the page, and you're like, oh, now it's the Wedge chapter.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, I got to get through this. And then you're like, now it's the Han chapter. Okay, I got to get through this, and it's like finally back to Thrawn, where the newest trilogy is like all Thrawn all the time, which is the way it should be.
And especially the way I read it, because I read them literally as soon as I was done with the last Thrawn book in the first trilogy, I started up on the new Thrawn trilogy. So it took me a little while to get my timeline straight.
Yes.
Because the old Thrawn trilogy is all post Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Like it takes place like 5 or 6 years after the Battle of Endor. And like the main, like you said, the main characters are Luke and Leia and Han and Lando and Thrawn and like all these people that were the OG cast.
Yeah.
Whereas the new Thrawn all takes place before Return of the Jedi and before the Fall of the Empire, because we don't even know what happens to Thrawn before the Fall of the Empire, because he gets like lasered out by a bunch of whales before the rebellion really even starts up.
Yeah.
And we know that he's still missing as of however many years after The Mandalorian.
Right.
So dude's been absent. So yeah, it's just completely different timelines.
And this is like
problems.
this is like in the beginning of this book that you're reading now. Is that when he's like working his way up?
Yeah,
up the ranks and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he was they found him on some backwoods planet, and then like he like met Palpatine, and then he like went to the Imperial Academy on Coruscant for 3 months and became a lieutenant. And then he went on a ship and became a senior lieutenant, and that's kind of where we're at right now, because like there were just some pirates that he
and he winds up over and over again, like 2 or 3 times, defeating bad guys and then getting called into Palpatine, and Palpatine keeps giving him promotions and stuff, and until we get him to the Grand Admiral.
And that's they made an allusion to it in. Yeah, because in the thing that just happened, he was like facing a court martial for some stupid stuff, and there was one like ISB agent who was like helping him. And he was like, if you do get court-martialed, you have a job with us, with ISB. You'd look good in white. Wink, wink, wink. It's like, oh, he's gonna wear white.
He's gonna wear white. Yeah, it's pretty funny because he every time something goes wrong, it's always not his fault. It's because somebody else doesn't carry out the plan that he set.
That he told them to do.
Because they're like...
Which is how it was in the original trilogy,
yeah, they're like, no, he's stupid. He doesn't know... He's an alien. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
He has red eyes.
He has red eyes and blue skin, so he's obviously dumb. And then they get away, and he's like, ugh. And then he winds up having to, destroy the bad guys instead of just capturing them. If you would have just been here where you were supposed to be, and then, whatever. But, yeah, every single time... because he's so manipulative. And like I said, that's when you start to like root for him, and then you're like, wait a minute, but he's trying to annihilate an entire planet. Like, no, this is a bad guy. This is the baddest of the bad guys.
Yep.
But it's always fun to root for the bad guys.
But and I don't know. I think it's not so much we're rooting for him in so much that he's such a cool character.
Yes.
And that we like as a reader, we like seeing like someone with that sort of skill. Like, because so far in the book that I'm reading, he hasn't done anything but like stop some pirates,
right?
And some so like at the end of the day, it's like he's an Imperial officer, and
it is funny as he advances and whatever, where he starts to make Darth Vader look silly.
Mm-hmm.
They, like I said, they almost write it like Darth Vader becomes the bumbling sidekick,
right?
But he's an idiot, but he has force powers, so everybody's afraid of him because if they say this guy's an idiot, then he just chokes you out and you're dead.
Right. So when all the people who think you're an idiot all of a sudden die from chokeness,
right?
All of a sudden, nobody thinks you're
an idiot anymore, and they're all dead. Yeah. So
weird that they all died. Anyway,
we'll get this
you
guy
were
out
saying?
of here. Yeah. So so the Thrawn books are amazing. Real fast, we always ask for drink recipes. And our good friend Johnny Jalopy, actually,
good old Joppy Jelani. You're sporting a Johnny Jalopy hat.
I am sporting a Johnny Jalopy hat. I still listen and chime in every Monday night on
Sketchy
Live. They went from like 50 followers on YouTube to 1,500 followers on YouTube in like a month.
It's time to get Bantha Milk back on.
We got to start working
Jelani.
on that. Yeah. So I listen to him all the time. He always gives us a little plug when I chime in or whatever. But he sent us a drink. It's called the Vader.
The Vader.
It's
Vader,
pretty neat.
I hardly know her.
It's pretty neat. We're going to have to try this. I just have to get all these ingredients to try it.
So it's got some ingredients.
Yeah, it's got some ingredients. So you start off with a shot glass.
Easy enough. We've got that.
Yeah, and you put in 1 ounce of dark rum, a ½ ounce of black cherry syrup. Then so in this clip, he has it.
Is this like a car bomb situation where we got to drop it into a
kind of like a car bomb situation.
Okay.
But you like lift it up.
Oh,
and then it changes it to black. So you put that in upside down, then you flip it upside down. So you got the shot glass in upside down inside a bigger glass. Then you put in 5 ounces of Sprite and then 3 ounces of what's the Shirley Temple red drink.
Grenadine?
Grenadine, black. Yeah, let me just make sure this is right. We flip the glass, and then it says 5 ounces of Sprite and 1 ounce of sour cherry schnapps.
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 Okay.
Sour cherry schnapps. There we go.
It's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, and then you pick up the shot glass, and then it changes it all to black. So it's red and then the black, and that's why it's called the Vader.
That sounds like something that will make a mess out of this table right here.
It probably would, because knowing us, we would spill it all over the place, and it would splash
the blender
and whatever.
won't work. And
And all that good
haywire.
stuff. So
the freaking muddy ass Yoda. What was that? The giggling Yoda.
The giggling Yoda. That was the worst. That was the worst one.
Second one too.
So we're gonna have to try the Vader soon once we get all those things. So your books, you were reading all the Thrawn books by Timothy Zahn.
Yes.
The books that I'm reading is called The Star Wars: The Bounty Hunter Wars.
And this is again another Legends book, right?
Another Legends book. Yep. This is by K.W. Jeter, which I also wrote to him, but he's actually like 85 now. So I understand that he hasn't written back to us. But 3 thrilling novels by K.W. Jeter about the Bounty Hunter Wars, a trilogy in the Star Wars expanded universe. The first book is The Mandalorian Armor.
What year did these come out?
89, 89. Let me
go. So like a little bit before the Thrawn books, but not like directly. Okay, so this was basically.
I'm sorry, 1998. Hard Merchandise 1999, Slave Ship 1998.
Okay.
So 98 and 99.
Okay, so later in the game.
Yeah.
So right before the Disney, not right before the Disney takeover, but on the precipice. Right before the new movies were kind of coming to an end.
Yeah. Yeah, so he wrote them in the late 90s. The
That was kind of
Mandalorian.
peak new Star Wars. Like a lot of people, that was like a little after I started getting into Star Wars. Really, is the late '90s when they re-released the special edition.
Right,
So.
right. So I guess they were thriving off of re-releasing the special editions
Yeah.
that people then started to write a whole bunch of books again.
Sure.
And so this was these 3 books. The first one is the one that I'm still in the middle of now, even though I read all 3 of these before. But then Trey bought me the hardbound triple box
Sure.
set book of it. The Mandalorian Armor, in the hope of quelling the rebellion, Prince Zizor.
Oh yes, so that's a pretty like big antagonist in the Legends universe.
Yeah,
He was in a couple like I think he was one of the antagonists for like the Shadows of the Empire video game and stuff. Yeah.
Proposes a cunning plan to the Emperor and Darth Vader. Smash the power of the Bounty Hunters Guild by turning its members against each other and the survivors against the rebellion. The fiercely independent Boba Fett jumps at the chance to destroy his rivals, but when he realizes the game is rigged, he finds himself the target of murderous factions, criminal conspiracies, and the evil at Emperor's dark heart. So Prince Zizor in this book was also the leader of one of the
Crime syndicates.
As well. So he was like double-edged swording it there, where he was talking to Palpatine, but also conspiring against Palpatine.
Yeah.
So the first book is neat. Like I said, half of it is after Boba Fett escapes the pit. In the first chapter, they explain how he gets out. I think they did a better job in the book than Book of Boba Fett did.
Right.
So he gets out, but then he's like wounded and damaged, and this woman finds him, and she and who was the bounty hunter that basically looked like he was an actual boxer in real life, but he just had like white like robes over top of him.
Not Bosk. That's gonna annoy me. He had like the white around his
around his head and around his face.
It's gonna really annoy me. Anyway, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, so he and this other woman, they find him and they're like trying to heal him because he knows that if he heals Boba Fett, that Boba Fett will then let him tag along, or he hopes that Boba Fett will let him tag along, and then he'll get bigger bounties because he's now teamed up with Boba Fett.
Right.
And then they go to the flashbacks when he's trying to he's paid to take apart or dismantle the Bounty Hunters Guild. A pretty neat character. It's like a spider-like character who is a middleman between the bounty hunters and the people who are setting the bounties.
Dengar,
that's his name. Very good. I'm proud of you. He's like a spider-like creature who made his own web out in space and made like a house.
A space web.
And he has his own little spiderlings that all help him and stuff like that. And they talk about it so much. It's really fun. Eventually, one of the little spiderlings gets too much knowledge and then will wind up eating the master spiderling, and then that one becomes the new master of this web.
Spider Sith.
So yeah, Spider Sith type thing. So, and the little one, his name is what's his name? Data, I forget what it is. Darn it! It's like a really weird name, but anyway. So obviously, as the story goes on, you know that this little one is gonna wind up killing the master and become the new matriarch. Yeah. So that spider person tricks Boba Fett into saying, "Look, I have my own personal bounty. I want you to join and destroy the Bounty Hunters Guild." He's like, "What's in it for me?" And he goes, "All these credits." And he's like, "Okay, whatever." So he now joins and he teams up with Bosk, and they have this love-hate relationship, more hate than love. But they have to work together. Boba Fett and Bosk in the flashback.
Okay.
And then Bosk's dad is the Vosk or something like that, is the leader of the Bounty Hunters Guild, and then they break it up. And it was interesting, especially after we talked to John Jackson Miller,
right,
when he said, in the books you can do anything you want except
don't kill a character.
Don't make any weird thing happen. Don't make Han and Chewie get married or something like that. So there's this like new bounty hunter that they created in this book, and it was somebody I never heard of before. And of course, that's the guy that dies because
Right.
you can't kill Bosk.
He's the red shirt.
He's the red shirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, yeah. So you can't kill Bosk or anything like that. What's the little bounty hunter with the tubes in his face and stuff? He was like from the original trilogy, but
Little bounty hunter with tubes in his face.
he had like a helmet on with like tubes. If you say the name, I know exactly who it is because I thought they were gonna kill him off, but I'm like, how can they kill him off?
Sam Wessel.
Not that one.
No, that's that dummy. I don't know, man.
There's another dummy. But anyway,
From the OG.
yeah, from the Bounty Hunters. He was
Oh.
in Empire Strikes Back when Boba Fett was standing there, and they go, why are all these bounty hunters on here? And he was one of them. Empire Strikes Back.
Steve the bounty hunter.
Steve, every bounty hunter in Empire Strikes Back.
Forlom.
No, but he's a good one.
Zuckuss.
Zuckuss, I think. Let's see.
I think it's
Bosk,
Zuckuss.
Dengar.
Zuckuss has got some
Forlom.
tubes happening.
Yes, Zuckuss. It's definitely Zuckuss.
I would never have guessed that in a million years. All right.
But yeah, he's got some weird tubes and stuff and whatever. So the Zuckuss goes on this one mission with them, and I thought for sure they were going to kill Zuckuss off, and I'm like, wow, that's impressive, but they don't. They kill off some other guy instead. But yeah, look at Dengar in the back there. He just looks like he just got out of a boxing match and is like all bandaged up or whatever.
I always just kind of saw him as like a weird mummy dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. So then the next book is Slave Ship. The once powerful bounty hunters guild has been shattered, and posting of an enormous bounty on a renegade Imperial stormtrooper is about to start a frenzy. Murderous greed among its warring fractions. And then the third one is hard merchandise. When Boba Fett stumbles across evidence implicating Prince Zizor in the murder of Luke Skywalker's aunt and uncle, he makes an enemy of someone who will kill to cover his tracks. So they're fun. It's a fun trilogy as well. I did like it because they were the only books really, other than like comic books, which I never got into, but they were the only books really just based on the bounty hunters.
Right.
Like I would love a whole series just about each of the different bounty hunters going on different missions, kind of
Sure.
like the way,
Like Tales of the Jedi almost.
yeah,
They're
kind of
doing
like
with
Tales
bounty
of yeah,
hunters, or-
but just like all different bounty hunters and stuff. So that would be a lot of fun. So these were definitely fun 3 books. I did enjoy them the first time I read them, and I'm gonna read them again and enjoy them again. So those are the books that I'm reading. You are reading the Thrawn books. Let's take a commercial break, and then we'll come back. We'll hit some news. I got some fun news that happened this week, and then we can go into our top 5 most obscure Jedis.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Yeah, so let's have a commercial. Did you buy it?
I have 3 of them already.
Nice.
Actually.
I love it.
I could buy more, I guess, but where do you put it all?
Where do you put it? There's too many of them. You
Too
got
many
to
and
put it away.
Too cumbersome.
Too cumbersome. All right, let's hit some news. Maybe. Here it is.
Second time's a charm.
It is. I hit play. But I hit play a little too fast. All right, so I'm gonna call you out on the air here.
Here we go.
I sent you like 12 text messages to which you never responded
That
to
sounds
any
about
of them.
me.
But
Like me,
one
go
of
on.
them was all about I was trying to hook you up. Not with a date or anything. I know you're married. But I said PS5 is at Costco
Oh.
for only
yeah.
$650.
You know what? I remember that, and I remember specifically like meaning to respond with you watch Galaxy Quest
Yeah.
by Grapthar's Hammer. What a savings!
What a savings.
Yeah, but in typical me fashion, I look and I go, "Oh, I'm gonna a bird."
Oh, a bird. Oh, what's that? I got
and then
distracted.
and then I don't because that's how I go. But yeah, that's a heck of a price right there.
Yes. So that being said, since you're not going to get it, Star Wars Jedi Survivors Key Twist was
No, don't tell me about it. I don't want to know it. Really? I don't want to hear it.
It was inspired by a classic Keanu Reeves movie.
I love it. I don't want to hear any more.
Okay, I won't tell you anymore. But there's a friend in it who's named after a guy in Point Break.
See, I've never seen Point Break, so I don't think
you
I've been
never saw
spoiled.
Point Break?
Never.
Oh my gosh, it's such a great movie.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I've been meaning to my entire life and haven't.
Did they do a remake? I think they did a remake, didn't they?
I don't want to.
They
see
did
the
a remake. Don't watch the remake. You have
No.
to watch the original with
The
Keanu
Keanu.
Reeves and Patrick Swayze.
Oh, Swayze. All
yeah.
right. Well, now you
Keanu
got
Reeves'
me.
name is Johnny Utah.
All right.
Hey, I'm Johnny Utah. That's
Ooh,
how he
I like
talks in it.
That's how he talks in everything.
Yeah,
right?
I'm a football player, man.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Neo.
Neo. Hey,
Oh my gosh,
let's-
Morpheus. I'm the one.
Oh my gosh, let's go back in time, Bill. All right.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Wild Stallions.
So, Keanu Reeves' name Johnny Utah. Patrick Swayze's name is Bodhi. And Bodhi is a name of one of the characters in Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh.
So it took some people picked up on it right away,
All right.
but according to this article, a lot of people didn't pick up on the fact that his character is based
on
the character
from
in Point
So what
Break.
you're saying is don't watch Point Break until I play this game if I don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled,
Because
don't
then
do
I'll
that.
know. But
Yeah.
Point Break.
Oh
damn you.
man, of course, it's all Point Break.
I'm gonna go home and it's just gonna be on my screen. It's gonna be like Point Break now.
Point Break,
on.
yeah, on every channel. You're gonna
Yeah.
be flipping through. It's on TBS, TNT, CNN.
Yeah.
It's gonna be on Fox
I'll
News.
wake up
It's
in the
gonna be on
middle.
all of them.
Fox News is gonna play Point Break. That's great.
But Point Break, the beginning of it, such a good movie. I can't believe you haven't seen it.
I'll have to get on that.
They're the dead presidents or the presidents that when they're robbing banks, they all wear president rubber
that's
masks.
where that's from. Okay.
Yeah. And they're like they got it down. They're all timing it so they know they have exactly 3 minutes to get it in and out before the cops are going to get any closer. And they're like, "Don't worry, people. Your money's insured. You don't need to worry about us. We just want the cash. We don't want you." And they're standing up and whatever. And of course, nobody ever gets shot until the camera's on.
Sure.
And now suddenly somebody gets
reached your
shot.
breaking
Yeah,
point.
you reach it. So it's so good. But yes.
They found the point where you break.
Yeah, Gary Busey is in it
Oh, well,
before
then
the
it's-
car accident.
Oh, so this is when he's at his prime.
Yeah, this is his
This
prime
is
Gary
prime
Busey.
Busey.
Yes.
Before the Cherry Hill incident.
Yes, yes.
We're just down the road.
Which
from
was right
here.
down the road when
Yeah.
he decided that he's going to physically assault a bunch of women. Yes.
Oh yeah, what a guy.
What a guy.
So anyway,
So that
I'll check it
story is based off of Keanu Reeves' Point Break storyline there. Okay. This, I want you
I'm ready.
on your computer to type in the following thing. This is an article from StarWars.com.
Okay.
10 great Lego Star Wars building sets for adults. The first one is Boba Fett's Starship Microfighter. So type in Lego and then just 75344. That's the set number. All right, it's the little microfighter, which I actually have somewhere over my shoulder, one of my shoulders.
Sure.
The Boba Fett little microfiber. It's a little microfighter of Slave One, or as they call it now, Boba Fett's Starship.
Right.
And it has a little Boba Fett guy.
Sure.
So this is the first of 10 for adults. So I guess I really can't complain since I have this and I'm an adult. So how much is that one on Lego.com?
$10.
$10. So it's not
Yeah,
bad. I like it.
Not bad at all.
The second one, you know what? Let me try to do this also for all of our fans watching on YouTube. Where is
All of them.
all of them? Can I share the screen? Oh wow, there's a whole Bill's texting to us.
Yeah, it doesn't shock me. I told him I was recording because look at your YouTube chat. I had all your answers. Oh, apparently he's been talking to us.
Yeah, he's been
on
talking to us.
YouTube.
He was saying
Sorry, William.
Danger over and over again.
Dengar.
Dengar, and then
Okay.
and then Zuckus. And he's like, "Oh my God, Nick! Oh my God!" So Point Break, and then he's like, "So someone's a traitor." Oh, sorry, he spoiled it for you.
I love to hear that he's in there though because we're talking minifigs now.
Okay.
And if there's anyone in this world who loves a good minifig, it is Bill Power.
Yes. So he said no one our age has seen Point Break, but I bet people 2 years older have, which I can see that because it was 1991
Yeah, sure.
when it came out, and that was a good year for me. That was the year I graduated high school, and I know you were just in your mother's womb or something ridiculous. At that
92?
point. 91 I graduated.
91. Give me a break. I was 4
You were 4.
in October.
I'm trying to find what is the name? Video Ninja. Where's our Video Ninja? Anyway, whatever. All right, I was trying to find, and I was going to try and post this
That's okay.
website
I think
for the images, whatever.
I
But anyway,
think they can do this simple
they can do the
Googling
same
that I'm
Google
doing
that
myself.
you're doing, yeah. All right, so the second one is Obi-Wan Jedi Starfighter,
Sure.
75333. It has 282 pieces. It's a little starfighter ship. It has Obi-Wan. It has an R2 unit, and it has one of the cloners.
You said 75333?
75333.
It's not. There it is. I see it.
You see it?
I see it. Leia. All right.
Okay.
There it is. I might have that one. I'm not sure.
The 20th anniversary of the Clone Wars is a great choice. It's relatively easy build with larger pieces doing much of the work, and it definitely captures Obi-Wan's ship design. So it looks pretty cool. I like that one. That's
yeah,
nice.
It's a good one. $30.
$30. The next one, Luke Skywalker's X-Wing fighter. This now has 474 pieces. It is
Lego
number
what?
75301. Similar to Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter, Luke Skywalker's X-Wing fighter is more simple build than sets designed for older audiences.
This is a good one.
But it looks really cool. It still enjoys an enjoyable experience and a dynamic take on one of the Star Wars most iconic ships. So that's a pretty cool one.
1,900 or so pieces.
Yep. Oh, no, you have the big one?
Oh, that's I typed in
75301.
7530. Oh, that was 75355.
Oh.
I see. See, that's so weird. Why would that's the third one down is 75301?
That is weird.
Like, why wouldn't that be the first one?
It should be if you typed in the exact number.
I
That's
see
weird.
that one now.
That
Okay.
one's
This one I do have.
Okay.
I have this one at home.
And how much is this one?
50.
50. Okay. That's 474 pieces.
Yeah.
The next one is one I have, the Mandalorian N1 Starfighter. This is Din's new ship, 75325.
Sure.
This set has a modest footprint measuring 2.5 inches high, 16 inches long, and 11 inches wide. At 412 pieces, it won't take too long to complete. A brisk build that ups the complexity a little bit. Mando's modded N1 also comes with a solid lineup of minifigures. Mando, Grogu, Pelimato, and a BD droid, and looks fantastic as a display piece. It does. It's really long because the back of it just is like really stretched out.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I like it. Now we get into how much was that one? Was that 50 also?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Now we get into the big boys. The Child, 75318. This is 1,000 pieces.
Okay.
Lego Star Wars isn't all ships and vehicles. It's a giant model of the Child.
Check him out. That's gonna haunt my dreams.
Yeah, he kind of looks a little creepy. Yeah, I think they did. I think they tried to take like the Yoda one that they did, very similar to this, and then
Sure.
they said, "Oh, let's make a child at one just like it."
Sure.
A little creepy there. And then number, come on, what's going on with my
That was
computer?
$90.
$90. Okay, this one I'm not into these. So you have to tell me if you like these or not. But they started doing these dioramas also.
Okay.
Emperor's Throne Room
So what is it?
diorama 75352.
I guess 75 is the code for
Is
Star
the code
Wars.
for Star Wars, yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, it's kind of cool. I like that it's like a scene.
Yeah.
But I guess it's more for minifig display than anything else, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And like in this picture, somebody has it like on their bookcase, and it's like a nice little diorama on your bookcase.
Yeah,
type
I don't
of
mind.
thing.
I think that's pretty cool.
So it's the Emperor's Throne Room. And you see it's got Luke and Darth Vader and Palpatine sitting in his chair. So it's cute, but I'm not too into the dioramas.
Mhm.
The next one is the one that I got right away, the Mandalorian helmet,
Sure.
75328, which is fun. I like doing the helmets. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. I have one upstairs that I got 2 weeks ago and have yet to put together. Commander Cody and Commander Rex, they have
nice.
those new ones out. I have one of those too. How much is this one, the Mandalorian helmet?
$70.
Yeah, the helmets are expensive because they know people like to do it. But
and they're easy to display too, so people know.
Yeah.
Like, they'll buy them and display them.
yeah, and this one it's funny because it's looks very similar to the Boba Fett one, but the build of it was drastically different.
Yeah.
Like they definitely didn't just take the Boba Fett one and just
like,
make it all silver
repaint it,
pieces. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely a different look too. The eye piece is different. So like they could have done that and gotten away with it probably, but why bother?
But why bother?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next one, BD1.
Okay.
This is pretty neat.
Yeah.
75335.
Sure.
This is 1,000 pieces.
I feel like someone I know just recently put this together.
Eric from the Supreme Resort and Ears Up and all the other podcasts, the Hub Crawl, every other one that he's on, built this one.
That's a good
And
one.
how much is this? This is
This one
expensive.
is $100.
Oh, really? Okay. I thought it was more than that. I thought
Right
it was
now
like,
it's $100. It might
Okay.
have been more,
yeah,
when it came out, but yeah, a little over 1,000 pieces.
a little over 1,000 pieces. And then the next one is, I don't know if you have this one or you had the smaller version of this. The Ultimate Collector Series AT-AT.
Okay.
75313. You have to tell me how much this is because this is the Ultimate Collector
Yeah,
Series.
Definitely. If it's Ultimate Collector, I definitely don't have it.
It's 6,785 pieces.
It's $850.
So you didn't get that one.
No, I definitely did
And
not.
this is where I wanted to get to was the last two are the $800 Lego sets.
6,700 pieces.
Yes.
9
was-
minifigs. Wow.
I was
That is-
hoping that Bill was going to chime in on when we get to these two because these two are ridiculous.
All right, and what's the next one?
And then the last one, the number 10 one.
That's got to be either the Millennium Falcon. Yeah, right.
Yeah, the Millennium Falcon, the USC Millennium Falcon, 75192. 7,531 pieces.
Wow. All right.
Is it also $800?
Yeah, $850.
The box
It's
that it comes in.
beautiful, I mean.
It is
My
beautiful.
buddy Matt did get this one and put it together, and he's like a big Lego guy. And he loved it. 7,500 pieces. My God.
It would take up the whole table.
Yeah, I mean, where do you
have
put
to-
it? Honestly,
You have to build a coffee table around
put
it
it
and
inside,
put
yeah.
it inside the coffee table. That's the only place for it.
I mean,
because
it is amazing looking.
I've seen it in the Lego store,
Yeah,
and they're like, nobody's allowed to touch it
Sure.
because it's so big that it's fragile.
yeah. I'd imagine. Where do you lift the thing where
Yeah.
you're not worried the whole thing's gonna fall in on
Yeah,
itself?
you move it once, and then you hope that nobody bangs into wherever you moved it to, because it's just so big that pieces will just fall off of it.
Wow, that's really something.
But yeah, the last two are combined $1,700 for two Lego sets. Now it is 6,000 pieces and 7,000 pieces, but still, I don't even know where I would put them. They're so big. But whatever. So that's fun. So if anybody wants to, they're from StarWars.com, their recommendation for 10 really cool Lego sets that you can do as an adult, like we are. Another news, Mark Hamill says Star Wars doesn't need Luke Skywalker anymore.
Yeah,
I just don't see any reason to play him again.
I think that was it about Luke itself, or was it about him playing Luke?
It was, he says, Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill's days as Luke Skywalker are basically over.
Yeah, I think his
So
big
he's
thing
saying
is about
he
the
doesn't-
deep fake thing. Like,
Yeah.
like there are people out there who can play Luke Skywalker. They don't have to keep digitally
Making
plopping
him,
his face
yeah,
on there or like de-aging him.
right.
There are loads of people out there who would do a great job and look already like kind of like him.
Yeah, the guy that was his body double when they did it in Mandalorian Season 2
Yep.
looked similar enough to him that he could have just been him. He says, well, you never say never, but I just don't see any reason to, Hamill said, about reprising the role of Luke Skywalker. Let me put it that way. I mean, they have so many stories to tell. They don't need Luke anymore. I had my time, and that's good, but that's enough. Hamill was the face of George Lucas' original trilogy. When I read the Last Jedi script, I said, okay, that's it for me, Hamill recently told Esquire magazine. And you start the process of disengaging from something that's been a part of your life. Oh, he said he came back for The Mandalorian because he was very impressed with it. But he admits that seeing the final results of his face being de-aged is unusual. Lucasfilm could theoretically keep making Star Wars projects featuring Luke with a de-aged Hamill, but the actor seems to be ruling that out. People say, oh, now you're going to be able to do a whole series of Luke post Return of the Jedi. I said, I don't think so, Hamill said to Hold Esquire. First of all, they don't need to tell those stories, but if they do, they could get an age-appropriate actor. So he's basically saying, he's out. You don't need to keep redoing me. Have somebody else play that character.
I think that's fair. I'm kind of over it too because I feel like it's stifling their creativity.
Yeah.
You know, like there's only so much you can do with a 60-some-odd-year-old actor and digitally re-putting his face in, and it's taking up a large portion of the budget probably
Right.
to do it. Like, hire a dude, make a Luke Skywalker series.
I mean, they
Like,
did
I
it.
want to see a Luke Skywalker series. Let's just make it.
Yeah, they did it with
Han.
Han and the other guy, Lando.
Lando.
Han and Lando were just two different people as younger
Imagine.
versions of them. Shocking. That's acting
and they
for it.
did a great job
Yeah.
recreating the character and the mannerisms. And
Yeah.
and they were still able to, like, it's not like I went, wait a minute, that's not Harrison
That's
Ford.
not Harrison Ford.
I saw Harrison Ford when he was younger. He did not look like
He
that.
doesn't look like that at all. While we were gone, big news came down. So we interviewed Yaron Spiewak, who did all the music for Disney and worked for Disney as an Imagineer for quite a long time. The latest thing came out. You can download the music or listen to it on Apple Music or whatever. All the music that's in the Galactic Star Cruiser on May 5th, that comes out. And then 2 weeks later, they go, oh, by the way, we're closing down the Galactic Star Cruiser.
Yep.
So while we were gone, surprisingly, people did not want to spend $5,000 to $6,000 for 2 days of an experience on the Galactic Star Cruiser, and they were losing money. So
Or at least not enough to make it worth their while.
Right.
You know, like, at a certain point, the people who can afford to do that are going to be like, yeah, I did that. That was great. Why am I going to do it again? And
right?
then you're out of people who can afford it.
Who can
you know,
afford it?
like-
Yeah. So this article, the guy says, can anything save Disney's Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser? Now, we had an idea. So there's a couple of fan theories running around out there. One is that they're going to make it like a ride type thing where you can buy like a one-day pass to go in there and do all the things in it, which would be interesting and probably...
So that would be, what, $2,500 for that?
Yeah, probably for one day. But like half the experience of it was the hotel rooms. Like
Right.
the hotel rooms were all designed and set up just like Star Wars rooms. So there were some things in there to keep you active and keep you entertained. So it would be interesting if they do that. The other theory going around is the one that I'm hitching my cart to, which is that they're going to make it an upscale hotel.
Sure.
That, you know, it's not going to be $5,000 because you're not going to be able to do all the completely immersive things, but you can stay in a Star Wars hotel room for just a sheer $900 a night, whatever it is. Yeah.
Pittance.
Yeah. So
You know, pocket change.
this guy is saying what they should do is they should sell the hotel to another chain or another hotel company, and then make them pay Disney for the IP that's involved with it. Is an ultra premium boutique experience. Oh no, that's the old one.
You know what they should do is they should make it a prison.
That would be
Ron DeSantis, I
Ron
heard,
DeSantis is going to make it a prison. The world's coolest prison.
That's right.
So
Star Wars prison.
Star Wars prison. He says license a Star Wars Galaxy Star Cruiser to the right partner turns the project from low margin risk into a high margin source of low risk cash. Now, it's unlikely that Disney could find a licensed partner willing to take on the current Star Cruiser property within Walt Disney World Resort, since that's not going to help draw visitors to one of the licensors' resorts. But Disney likely could find several hospitality developers willing to have a conversation about licensing a Star Cruiser experience at other resorts around the world. So he's saying, look, you might not be able to use the actual hotel, but you could sell the idea to somebody else.
Right.
So I was like, okay, whatever. We talked about this. Ahsoka's coming out this summer.
Yes.
9 theories about Ahsoka's Inquisitor that blow Star Wars
Oh my
canon
God,
wide
are we about
open.
to read all 9 of these? Because I'm about to fall asleep.
All right, we'll skip it.
Okay.
Let's just
still
get
gotta
into
through our Jedi.
Let's just get into our Jedi stuff. So
Rob forgets what it's like to have an infant child.
yeah. So all right. So do you want to go first with your 5 random
I'm ready.
Jedis, or do you want me to go first?
How about we go back and forth?
Okay, we'll
I
go
do
back
one,
and
you
forth.
do one.
Sounds like a plan.
You start.
I'll start. So my first one is Nadar Veb.
Nadar Veb.
Nadar Veb.
Tell me about Nadar Veb.
Navar Veb was a Mon Calamari male Jedi Knight,
Ooh,
which
we
is
got a
why I
fish
picked him,
Jedi.
because I wanted a fish
You got
Jedi
a fish Jedi.
of the Jedi Order. He was trained to be a Jedi by the Natulian Jedi Master Kit Fisto.
Oh, Kit Fisto. That's a dude.
That is a dude. Although when Fisto was called elsewhere, Veb was forced to complete his Jedi training on his own. He did so successfully, passing his Jedi trials and becoming an accomplished Force healer. Shortly after, he was reunited with Fisto when the two both tracked the escaped Confederacy of Independent Systems leader Newt Gunray to the moon Vasek 3. Along with a squad of clone troopers, they heard Gunray's voice while investigating, only to find out that it was a hologram and that Gunray was not actually there. So my first one was a fish Jedi named Nadar Veb.
Love it.
Love it.
So I am starting, since I'm on this kick for these Thrawn books, I'm going to start with Joruus C'baoth. Right now, you'll notice I said Joruus C'baoth and not Joruus C'baoth.
Right.
Because they're different people. Right?
Oh,
so,
okay.
In Star Wars, it's funny, in Star Wars Legends, they have a very interesting way of naming clones. And it's just taking that name and changing it. So, like, in one part of these books, and I meet a clone of Luke Skywalker. And you know what his name is? Luke Skywalker.
Luke.
It's Luke Skywalker. So that's how they handled clones. So Joruus C'baoth was the original Jedi Master. Joruus C'baoth was his clone, who later on went pretty nutso. But anyway, Joruus C'baoth was like the weird thing about this dude, he was like super, like, Jedi were so different in the pre-Disney takeover. It was way less of like a structured sort of a like Jedi Council. And it was way more like you learned to be a Jedi, and like, dark users of the Force didn't all of a sudden become like Sith or anything. They were dark Jedi, and they called themselves Jedi still.
Okay.
And it was the ways of it. Like they kept talking about Palpatine, like, oh, he studied the ways of the Jedi too. So again, it's just like, this dude, like, it was, even then, without like the High Council and stuff, it was pretty normal for, like, if you become a Jedi Master, it's bestowed on you.
Okay.
This dude specifically bestowed it on himself.
He did it to himself.
He made himself a Jedi Master. And for the cojones on Joruus C'baoth,
is the one you picked
that's
first.
one of the ones I picked, yeah.
Nice. I was looking for very random types of Jedi. So
Sure.
My next one was Gungi.
Gungi.
Was a male Wookiee Jedi Padawan who trained to become a Jedi in the Jedi Order during the era of the Galactic Republic. During the Clone Wars, Gungi and a group of 5 other younglings, Petro...
I think it's Gungi.
Gungi,
right? Wasn't he
Gungi.
in an episode of...
He was,
He was
yeah.
in the one on where they're getting their lightsaber crystals,
Yes, yep. So I Googled because I was like, oh, I want a Wookiee Jedi.
Sure,
I
you
wanna
got a fish, you need a Wookiee.
You need a Wookiee. So there was 10 Wookiee Jedis, and this one was one that was in Star Wars Rebels. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take that one because I remember him from Star Wars Rebels. So he was in Star Wars Rebels. He was one of the younglings.
Or was that Clone Wars?
Or Clone Wars.
Right, because he went
with during the Clone Wars.
With the robot.
Yes. So Gungi and a group of 5 other Petro, Katuni, Byf, B-Y-P-H, Biff, and Ganodi, Ganodi,
Yeah, sounds
and
good to me.
Zat were deemed to be at the top of their class and led by somebody named Ahsoka Tano.
I never heard of her.
Never
I
heard
think
of
you
her.
must be pronouncing that wrong.
I got to be saying it wrong. And Jedi Grand Master Yoda. I'm not sure.
I think you made that up.
I made that up.
You sure you don't mean yogurt?
Yogurt. Grand Master Yogurt. Yes.
I hate yogurt, especially strawberry.
Especially strawberry. They jammed it.
Our radar appears to be jammed. Pomegranate.
They traveled to Luum, L-L-U-M,
Ilum.
to participate.
It's a
I-L.
capital I.
Yes.
Throws me every time.
Throws me every time. To participate in the gathering, an ancient Jedi ritual that proved a youngling's readiness to become a Padawan.
And he had that rad, like, wooden-looking lightsaber.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. And one of the articles that I read about it, he made his lightsaber out of wood, but the type of wood that it was as hard as metal.
Yeah, it was like a type of wood that's found on Kashyyyk. And
Kashyyyk.
it's specifically... And you can make them in Jedi Fallen Order and stuff, too. So it says, like, what type of wood that... But yeah, it's, like, very strong wood.
Very strong. They said in his defense, it is as hard as metal.
Right.
So it's pretty cool. So, yeah, so that's a Gungi is my second one.
Nice. So I'm leaning into some Legends characters here.
Okay.
And I talk often about Revan and his
Yep.
era, but there's an unsung hero there that I think some of his stuff is going to become more relevant because he's like one of the most classic examples of gray Jedi
Okay.
in the like pre-canon, and it's Jolie Bindo.
Okay.
Jolie Bindo was this dude who lived in like exile, like in the lower sector of Taris, which was like where all the non-cool kids would live,
Okay.
and like in a hut, basically all on his own. And he like specifically is like a gray Jedi.
Okay.
He's not a dark side user, but he will use the Force for his gain if he needs to.
Okay.
He's not like a light side user, like he's not like a Jedi, like we're pure of heart or whatever, but he will help people with the Force. He's just kind of like how I figure myself would be with the Force.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I want to help people, but also like that guy's a dick. I'm just gonna like
Yeah.
trip him,
I'm gonna
you know
trip
what I
him
mean?
because I can. Because he's a
right?
jerk. Yeah.
Or like like I know it's a special amazing gift I've been given. I should use it responsibly and with care, but I also just really need that, and it's over there.
and it's
I don't
over
feel
there.
Like getting out.
And no, I can get it. Yeah.
Like that's I don't see
Yeah.
what's wrong with that.
Or I can make that pencil fly across the room. There it is.
For funsies.
For funsies.
So yeah, he became a very major character in that he becomes one of your like companions that comes
Okay.
along with you on your journey. And there's some really cool dialogue options that open with him. I think at the end of the day, like gray Jedi is really just a term for anyone who would use the Force that isn't like a goody two shoes.
Right, who
you know.
hasn't officially been like the on the good side,
Yeah,
but
'cause-
also isn't on the bad side.
Because it's like there's such a steep variance, right?
Yeah.
You got like the bad guys who like go into the temple and kill a bunch of kids,
right,
and you've got the good guys who aren't allowed to love.
yeah,
And then apparently the middle ground between them is just normal dudes.
it's just normal dudes.
It's
who
like
just are
everyone
Force
else,
sensitive.
essentially.
Yeah, somebody posted about how being a Jedi is just as much of a curse as being a dark Jedi because you're not allowed to love. You're
Sure.
not allowed to. You have no. Yourself is all gone.
Yep.
You are just a Jedi at this point. So you're not allowed to be yourself anymore. You just have to be a Jedi. So I was like, okay, I see what you're saying. Which is where I too probably would have been more of a gray Jedi because it's like, okay, I'm going to use my powers, but I'm going to use them sometimes for good, sometimes for bad.
Yeah, but never for real bad.
Never for real bad.
Just like,
just silly bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. My next one is Jocasta Nu.
Okay, I know that name.
Okay. She's a human from Coruscant, Jedi Master, and her big bio is she's the chief librarian of the Jedi Archives prior to and during the Clone Wars.
If the system is not in our records, then it does not exist.
Then it does not exist. Yeah, so I thought she was fun because I'm like, okay, you're a Jedi Master, but you're only in charge of like the history, the books, and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So
Apparently she was pretty OG though.
okay,
Like, apparently she was like pretty like that's like the whole like she's this old lady, but like she's watch out for her. She's
watch out,
pretty strong.
she can kick your butt.
You're like Yoda, he's this little
Yeah.
green scraggly dude. Okay, Jocasta Nu, that's a good one. So I went from Jolie Bindu
Okay,
to the Bendu.
to the Bendu.
Yeah,
Okay,
So we got fish, we got Wookiees. Here's a moose.
here's a
giant flying
not
space
just
moose.
any moose, but a giant
space
moose. Yes.
yeah, with a beard.
Uh-huh.
So the Bendu I think is cool, and I don't know if this was like intentional or not. I was just trying to see if there's any like info about like, oh, this was but like to me it seems like it sounds too similar to Jolie Bindo.
Right.
For
Bindu,
especially
yeah.
considering it's like supposed to be like the middle.
Yeah.
The Bendu is not light or dark. I am in the middle. and
Yeah.
So like again, just really weird and interesting. Like I like what Clone Wars and Rebels did with the Force, and they made it way more mystical. Like we met
Yep.
the father with the son and the daughter,
yeah.
which are like physical embodiments of the Force, and the Bendu who's the person in the middle, and so yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
Bendu.
we did get to meet a lot more, not just the goody two shoe Jedi,
Yeah.
but we got to
Force
meet
users
all
that
the
are-
Force
yeah.
users that aren't Jedi per se, but very strong with the Force.
Yeah, and like different versions and
Mhm.
different people's perception of the Force, like the Night
Yeah.
Sisters.
Yeah.
They're using magic. What is that? That's the Force.
That's the
right?
Force,
Like
yeah.
it's
Yep.
it's just how they use it.
And then we met Harry Potter, who just uses the Force.
But he needs a little
He
stick.
needs
to
a little
make it
stick
happen.
as opposed to a big lightsaber.
Yeah.
He just has a little stick.
Yeah.
My next one, because I thought this guy, he was really cool, is a very popular one from the Jedi Council, Plo Koon.
Plo Koon.
First discovered the Force-sensitive child Ahsoka Tano, who would eventually become Anakin Skywalker's Padawan. This council member required a mask when in oxygen atmosphere due to his Keldorf physiological...
Physiology.
It's easy for you to say. Seeing these many new faces was a far cry from the original 3 films where the Jedi were all but extinct. Now Lucas could give us a female Yoda in Yaddle. That's just more stuff about all the Jedi Knight and Masters and stuff. But yeah, so I thought he was cool with his face tubes and stuff like that. And we did see him fight when they were Order 66 went down. We saw him fight for it a little bit before he didn't win. But
he was pretty pitiful, actually.
Yeah.
He was the one who was less pitiful, I guess, of the 5.
of the 5, yeah.
Like the 4 that were slaughtered
Yeah.
initially.
All right, your fourth one?
So, we're going for new and different. You got Ewok, you got fish people, we got moose. This is from Legends. It's unidentified Ewok Jedi.
Nice.
Right? So, an Ewok Jedi was in activity at some point following the founding of the New Republic in 4 ABY. Unusually for most Ewoks, this Ewok was born with the necessary mental capacity to access and utilize the Force. That Jedi once attacked a group of sannyasins who tried to enslave a fellow Ewok, wielding a blue-bladed lightsaber and wearing matching Jedi garments. And this is from the picture book, or it's in a picture, I should say, of Geonosis and the Outer Rim Worlds, which is a book. Which is a book. Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah,
There was
unidentified Ewok Jedi.
that's a good name.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
It's a lot of really interesting names in Star Wars as it is. So
Right. So unidentified is a very interesting name of all of them. I
Yeah.
think it's funny because people love to name people. Even the guy who was carrying the Camtono in Empire Strikes Back, they gave him a name.
And yet, this guy is nameless.
And
this book came out in 2004.
and he's still nameless?
This is a source book for the Star Wars role-playing game.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is. It's Geonosis and the Outer Rims is a source book for the role-playing game.
Okay.
So I guess you can role-play as an Ewok Jedi.
Ewok Jedi.
All right.
There you go.
Sounds great.
My number 1 Jedi is the actual clone of your number 5 Jedi,
Joruus
Sabayoth.
Yeah.
Because in the book also, I loved how he was described as an insane dark Jedi.
Yeah.
He lost his marbles.
And he was.
And he was.
Yeah, he totally. And it was cool the way they depicted it too, because it would be like long stretches where he was just like annoyed and angry and just the bad guy, and then all of a sudden he'd like have an episode where he was just like spacey and quiet.
Yeah.
And, like he would flash back and forth between different like emotions really quickly.
And he was like the ruler of the planet because he was a Jedi, or at least a town that he lived near.
Yeah.
And I remember it was then Luke was sent to him to like train or something like that. Like,
well, he went to him to like he thought he needed training. So he was like, oh, there's another Jedi Master. I better go learn what I can from him. And he was like, oh.
And as soon as Luke got there, he's like,
oh boy.
Okay, I need to figure out how I can get out of here. With
I was wrong.
I was very wrong about this guy.
Well, what's
This
funny,
guy-
you can tell at the beginning too, is he's like doubting himself. He's like, well, he's a Jedi Master. Maybe he's right. Was I wrong?
Was I wrong? Was I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, this guy's crazy.
Yeah, because the people were fighting in the town, and then his verdict was like, off with your head, basically.
Yeah.
And Luke was like, "Whoa, slow down! Like,
Bro, maybe let's just like figure out a middle.
let's figure out a middle ground here." Yeah, and then
no,
Luke was like,
I have spoken.
this is the way it is.
My word is
My
law.
word is
It's
law. Yeah. So he was definitely he was fun because he was crazy, and I'm wondering if that is who we see with the orange lightsaber.
That's what I was wondering too in the Ahsoka trailer.
In the Ahsoka
because,
trailer.
You know, again, it does look like they're pulling from
Mm-hmm.
source material, and like, you know, it's not a red lightsaber, it's distinctly an orange lightsaber. It's an old dude, clearly a dark Jedi of some sort, and they're leaning into cloning.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's cool, like the reasoning why this clone they said went crazy, like the whole cloning process, like the whole supposedly like the faster you clone them, the less stable they are, and they clone this guy super fast. But I mean, it is also interesting how it works because, like, all right, this dude's a clone, but he can still use the Force, and like he got crazy, scary good. Like it's cool how they describe the Force in the books when it's because he like took control of the minds of everyone on a Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like all of a sudden they were like just happy about it too. Like they weren't fighting and they were like, oh, this is right. This is nice.
Yeah.
This is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. And like there's a lot of people on a Star Destroyer.
Yeah, bro.
So that's pretty powerful.
Thousands and thousands.
Yeah. At least 6.
Yeah, at least 6 or at least 6,000.
Or 6,000.
Okay.
Yeah. Somewhere in between.
Definitely somewhere between 6,000 and 1 million.
And 1 million, yes. All right, your last one.
Just to round it out with again, diversity. R5D4, Skippy the Jedi droid.
Skippy the Jedi droid.
Yeah,
That's
of course.
I should have thought of that one. I'm glad you did.
Oh yeah, Skippy. And again, it's so silly that they somehow like managed to rope Skippy back into all this stuff. Skippy's only known as Skippy because of this one like non-canon children's book wherein like for the sillies they make fun of like, oh, Skippy he wasn't like terrible, he was a Jedi. He was he's the one who started the entire series off because he sensed that I can't be the one that goes with Luke. It has to be R2.
It has to be R2.
And he like used the Force in order to make sure that happened, and he set all this into motion. And I love how insane Star Wars fans are.
Yes.
And so that's why he is my number 1 pick.
I understand. It makes perfect sense to me. Speaking of that real fast, talking about how insane Star Wars fans are. One of these articles, 43 years later, Star Wars finally explains a glaring canon mistake.
Okay.
And this is how crazy, like you said, how crazy Star Wars fans are. Han Solo, every once in a while, but Han Solo says, in Empire Strikes Back, I'll see you in hell. And so, of course, Star Wars fans know that hell is an Earth term.
Okay. So
it can't be a term in space, in another galaxy far, far away.
They would never have a concept of heaven and hell and somewhere else.
So much so that Lucasfilm creative consultant Pablo Hidalgo, we need to get this guy on the show.
Yeah, for real.
He's the keeper of the official Star Wars lore.
Love that.
That's his job title. To give you an example of how big of a nerd you need to behold that job, he's used his official Twitter account to lament that he can't create and canonize a character named Darth Prius to allow for the use of the term prehic victory in Star Wars. So anyway, he says we use other terms. Dime a dozen is used in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday being referenced in comics and novels. Meanwhile, The Mandalorian reminds fans that days of the week have different names over in the Star Wars galaxy. Who can forget that iconic Season 3 line, Tang's Day? Am I right, he says?
Right.
So basically he says, and there's another line where it says that depends on how big your pocketbook is rather than holding credits.
Sure.
So he says, they also say Uncle Owen saying they'll be hell to pay back in A New Hope.
And there's one like that just happened recently in the book I'm reading. Actually, it was like instead of saying killing 2 birds with 1 stone, they said like killing 2 Dejarans with 1 flirted smack or something. Like you have birds and stones.
Yeah, you have.
You can
birds
still use that idiom. There are birds, there are stones in this universe. You don't have to shoehorn in some stupid
Star
thing.
Wars language. Yeah. He says he offers a simple, cheeky explanation for these discrepancies. We can understand Star Wars because it's been translated from Galactic Basic to our benefit.
There you go.
And sometimes that translation contains errors or simplifications. Of course, that just raises many more questions. Who recorded all of this? How did it get from the Star Wars galaxy to R?
Yeah,
but his real argument is that you just have to roll with the discrepancies because dialogue that sounds right for the moment will usually win out.
Sure.
So that's your birds and stones thing. You could have just said birds and stones instead of whatever.
Instead, you just took us all out.
Yeah.
And, oh, guess what? You're in Star Wars. They still have these idioms too.
Yeah. So it's pretty funny that people were so upset that he said, see him in hell and all these different things and whatever. Look, sometimes you have to use Earth terms when you're talking about your science fiction story of bad guys with glowing sticks.
Yeah, and again, I don't think hell or heaven is an Earth term. I think those are philosophical concepts
Exactly.
that are pretty ubiquitous throughout anywhere. I think
Anywhere,
every
yeah.
culture is like when we say hell, we're not like, that place.
Yeah.
It's like, you go down like 5,000 feet.
Right.
And you got to
There's-
make sure you stop and then you make a left.
Make
and
a
then
left
you'll
at the
get to
lava.
hell.
Yeah, and then you get to
if
hell.
You
Yeah.
get to see a lot, but if you see the rock clusters, you've gone too far. Got to get to hell.
Got to get yeah.
So yeah.
So there we go. So
Anyway,
as you were saying how ridiculous this Skippy droid was, that he's force sensitive because he started this whole thing. It made me laugh that people are that upset about him using the word hell as well. So
for shame.
what are you going to do with Star Wars fans? They're never happy about anything.
Saltier than crate.
Salty, yeah, that's for sure.
That's it.
So that's that.
And that is that. So we will be back hopefully soon. When does Ahsoka come out? Summer. And
It
it's
comes-
almost summer.
Yeah.
Right?
I think
So
it
soon?
doesn't come out
July?
until August, maybe July.
baloney.
Yeah, but we're going to have to. So I still want to do. I had some friends lined up, and then
Yeah,
they
to
all
do a
bailed on
draft.
me. Thank you. Yeah, but we're going to eventually do our Star Wars draft with a couple of different categories.
I feel like if like people are going to be in one room, like several of us, and it's a draft, there should be boneless wings.
There should be.
I just
Yes,
think that's like
wings,
maybe
lots
someone
of
should
beer.
maybe y'all should like make them. Do any of your friends, are they like known for making hot wings? Invite them.
Invite the friends that know how to make hot wings.
Only those ones.
Well, we can order them from a local
We could also do
eatery.
that, that's
Yeah, we could
true,
do that
but,
as well. Yeah. But I like that idea. We'll have to have some people actually come over. Not my friends from Colorado and California who
they could
won't-
come to.
They could if they want to.
I mean,
Why
we're not
not?
going to pay for them.
No, they can.
Well,
they,
we'll ask Ears Up.
ears up.
see
Will
what they'll
send
do.
them all out here. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're all ears up people.
you go.
So whatever. So we'll get that draft one of these days. I think it'll be a lot of fun because the person that you draft as a Jedi might have been the person that I wanted to draft as a light side or as a rebel.
Yeah.
Because it might be the same person. No.
Then you got
That was-
to go to the drawing book.
Yeah,
board.
and
Wow,
I
I
gotta
had a
go
really hard
back to
time
the
getting
drawing
that one out
board
there.
and pick somebody else.
That's it.
So, all right. Well, we'll get to that sooner, hopefully, than later. And So, and now you're not working all summer.
So yeah, I got to figure something out because I need money. But no, I'm not going to be driving 5 days a week to LBI for
No.
sure. So I'm gonna have like time on my hands.
A little bit of time, so we could have a whole bunch of shows again and
Oh,
get
we're gonna
something.
crank them out.
Crank
Rob.
them out. We're cranking
Yeah.
them out.
All right.
All right, so that's that. So go ahead. You take us out of here.
I'm
I
gonna take
think-
us out of here. Hey, from all of us here at Bantha Milk Podcast headquarters, are you ready for it? Wait, as Elma would say, wait for it.
Wait for
Wait
it.
for
Wait
it.
for it.
We have spoken.
We have spoken.